Hello everyone, my name's Rogelio Morales and I'm making my first YouTube video. So I wanted to talk about the Trayvon Martin trial. I've been following it pretty closely for the past year, well, since it occurred back in February 2012. And from the beginning, I always felt that there was something wrong with the case. Maybe it's because of the pretty um, well, at this point, outrageous allegations people were making about the racism, which is why it caught my attention. Obviously, initially, when the facts came out, it sounded like a terrible situation, like maybe there was racism involved. A lot of the mainstream media, especially channels like MSNBC, were strongly implying, if not saying, that Trayvon Martin was killed because he was black, and then they were claiming that George Zimmerman was a white man and that he had racially profiled him and that he had hunted him down and killed him. And obviously, members of Congress and even President Barack Obama chimed in and obviously elevated the situation to where it is now. Um, but as time went by, facts started trickling out, and it became pretty evident, at least to me, that the initial impression that the media, a lot of the media gave, was incorrect. Um, I like to consider myself a pretty strong, hardcore liberal, but I have to say, at least when it comes to the facts of this case, I think Fox News made a very good job of staying objective and trying to pull the public back from making this a racial issue. It unfortunately did not have success in doing that, because the reason why obviously it's a big deal now is because people still think it's a racial issue. And from my view of the other videos that have been uploaded on YouTube, it seems pretty obvious that some people are just not going to accept some of the facts that have been testified to in the case. There are still people that are saying that George Zimmerman um, followed Trayvon even after the 911 operator told him he didn't have to. Um, I think anyone who has been following the trial closely knows that there's no testimony nor evidence that establishes that George Zimmerman followed Trayvon after the 911 operator told him not to follow him. Um, Obviously, one can infer, one can say, yeah, that's probably what happened. But in a court of law, where the state of Florida has the burden to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that that in fact occurred, uh, that's just not going to happen in this case. There's no evidence to establish that beyond a reasonable doubt. Now, we can all say, he most likely did it, or that's what I think he did. And that's fine. I mean, obviously, here in public, we can say whatever the hell we want, or think what we want. But in a court of law, that's just not going to fly. I mean, they're not going to be able to prove that. And now that the prosecution is rested, I mean, it's over. It is totally over. Um, I think the defense at this point is simply trying to bring out evidence and make it extremely clear as possible to as large a segment of the population as possible, to show that there is so much reasonable doubt that exists in this case, like the identity of the of who was screaming on the 911 call. Um, I mean, no one knows. Uh, you know, Sabrina Fulton, Trayvon Martin's mom, testified naturally that it was her son screaming, and so did George Zimmerman's mom naturally testified that it was her son screaming. Um, and today being um, I have to look at my calendar. July 8th, 2013 on Tuesday. I'm sorry, Monday. Today, the defense brought up, I think, at least 5 witnesses, if not more. I didn't count them, but I know it was more than 3. Um, Witnesses to state that they heard George Zimmerman on the on that recording where you can hear someone screaming for help, and then you hear the gunshot. Um, when I first heard the story, that recording was what you know. In me created a visceral response, an emotional response to that, because you hear the gunshot, and then you hear silence, and I could see why people would think that was Trayvon Martin, at least in the beginning. Um, it makes sense. You get shot, you stop screaming, obviously. But it's also consistent with someone shooting someone. Shooting someone and I've never done it myself, but from everything I've read and the way police officers treat other police officers when they get shot, it's it's an extremely traumatic event. And when you shoot someone, that's a very powerful blow. I've heard it described as getting hit by people who've been shot. Have described it as being hit. I'm sorry, by a baseball bat. And if he was yelling help when he was getting blows rained down on him, and you hit someone, with a baseball bat, that's probably going to stop them from hitting you, which would mean that would probably end the blows, which would probably mean that would end the yelling for help. Because why are you going to keep yelling for help if that person has stopped hitting you? Witness, and I don't know his full name, but I think everyone keeps calling him Good. He testified that he saw Trayvon Martin on top of George Zimmerman. So if that's the case, then it is possible that when George Zimmerman was on the bottom, getting, punched and having his head smashed into the pavement, that from the bottom he pulled out his weapon and shot Trayvon, and that caused Trayvon to fall back. I think that's a very plausible scenario. And obviously, if that occurred when you get shot and you fall back, you're obviously going to stop punching someone. So that to me is what kind of got me start to think, well, maybe it's not what we think it is. Maybe it is self-defense. So if you want my opinion, I think that this is a classic example of self-defense. All the evidence seems to corroborate George Zimmerman's story, and this has taught me a lot. When I was younger, I would hear a lot of the conservatives say, the media is corrupt and they only paint a certain side story, and I never believed it. Until now. Now I see what they're talking about, and I'm not a conservative. I consider myself a pretty strong liberal still, but this did open my eyes to that argument, at least. This is definitely evidence that now I'm like, wow, they kind of have a point when it comes to that. But anyways, I understand, like, a lot of people that were supporting Trayvon are, justifiably upset. This is a very tragic situation. And no one would want to live through that. But unfortunately, bad things happen in this life. And I hope people can see that. And I hope people will give the facts a chance and not just assume that it has to do with racism. The trial's not over. Maybe something will come up later that'll change my mind, but at this point, the way things are going, I just can't see how any reasonable jury could convict George Zimmerman. So, anyways, I'd love to hear your thoughts. This is my first YouTube video. I look like crap. But, anyways, if you guys have any thoughts, please put in the comments. And, anyways, thank you for watching.